Hi, welcome to this introductory video of the RBI DEPR 2023 program. This video is important for anyone who is looking to understand our initiatives for the next year's exam better. In this video, we will not discuss other stuff such as the eligibility for the exam, work profile, etc. In case you want to know more about those aspects, you can read the blogs on our website. Okay, so let's go ahead. This is how we will go about in this video. First, I will give you a brief introduction about myself. Then we will discuss what we offer to assist your preparation for the next year's exam. After that, we will talk about how you should supplement our resources with your efforts to make a comprehensive strategy for the next year's exam. And finally, I will mention the procedure to join any of our initiatives. Okay, so let's go ahead. So, let me begin by introducing myself. I have studied economics for 5 years at University of Delhi. After completing my masters, I wanted to gain some exposure to economic research. So, I had assisted one of the well-known professors at ISI Delhi in her research work for about 2 years. And it was at that time when I had gained some exposure to the methodologies usually used in empirical economic research as well as the statistical softwares. Okay, so let's go ahead. Okay, so this is what we have been doing since the last 20 months or so. We started our initiatives in 2021, just before the DEPR Phase 1 exam of that year. Okay, and on a lighter note, we had an auspicious beginning. The first ever candidate who joined our test series went on to be selected for the exam that year, and later she was also selected in IES. Okay, so yeah, this was the first step in this world of DEPR exam guidance, and honestly, for us, it was a brilliant experience. Let me share with you some important points from that. So based on the reviews that we got from the candidates, we were happy that our mock tests help candidates boost their phase 1 score. Second, we had our share of learnings. So what were those learnings? For example, before the exam, when we were making the mock tests, we had contemplated many topics to include in those mock tests, right? But we had limited space of 124 questions. So many of the topics we had to skip. Now, it so happened that some of those topics actually appeared in the exam. For example, the topic of pure exchange from microeconomics. When we were contemplating whether to include it or not in the mock test, I decided not to. Why? It was for the simple reason that after the DSE MA Eco entrance, I had not seen questions of that type in any other exam. So that's why I skipped that question. But when it came in the final exam, I was almost feeling that maybe I should have included it. Right. So similarly, there were some other questions of econometrics and statistics with the similar story. Accordingly, I had decided to inculcate this learning of mine into the next year's test series. So how did we go about it? There were two options. One was a long-term test series, which we called the Growth Plus Booster Plan, and the other was only consisting of the full-length mock tests, which we called the Booster Plan. Right. So while framing these questions in the mock tests, we followed a very scientific approach. So what was it? The first step was to select topics that we considered important for this exam. Once we had selected those topics, we used to think what kind of question to form, which would give a very good understanding to the candidate of this concept. Third step, we used to search for the questions. Where exactly? Maybe the past year papers of DU semester-based examinations, or MA Eco entrances, or any other competitive exam based on economics. If I found those questions, the kind of questions that we are looking for, we would include those questions in the exam. If we did not find those questions, I used to make questions myself, right? So what was the overall objective? The overall objective was coverage of syllabus. We wanted to cover the syllabus. And one more improvement which we did compared to the previous year was the solution panel. In 2022 test series, we expanded our solutions significantly. So apart from just the solution of that particular question, we tried to include the link of the place where the concept has been explained or some other important questions of similar type, some assignments also, and a variety of stuff. And many of those links were from the top universities of the world. Right. So with these initiatives, when we actually went into the 2nd July exam, honestly, I was satisfied with our performance. But at the same time, I had my share of learnings, which I will try to include in the next year's test series. Right. So let's move on. So what do we offer for the next year's exam? We offer the updated test series and a very good video course. So let me speak briefly for this video course. Okay, so as you know already that the phase 1 exam usually consists of 3 sections: statistics and econometrics, microeconomics and macroeconomics. So our course has been structured in a similar way. We will begin with the statistics and econometrics part. This is also the course for which we got the maximum number of requests. Once we complete this course, we will move to the course of microeconomics, and only if we are able to complete both these courses by the deadline of January end will we release the 3rd course of macroeconomics. Okay, and many a times we also get many doubts or say FAQs from this section. So what are those FAQs? One question which we often get asked is, will this course help me for other examinations also? Now our answer to that question is simple. See, for most of these exams, the syllabus is overlapping. For example, say microeconomics for IES versus microeconomics for DEPR. Now at least 70 to 80% of the syllabus is the same, right? So enrolling for this course here will help you there, but at the same time we will focus only on DEPR type of content. So any topic which we feel is not very important from DEPR's perspective as per our understanding, we will skip that topic. So what could be that topic? For example, say from the statistics and econometrics portion, the topic of say factor analysis, discriminant analysis, principal component analysis. Although these topics are part of IES syllabus, in this course we will not cover. Right? So we will stick to the DEPR type of content. Right? So just let's move on now. Let's note some important points from this. First, courses will be launched sequentially, which means only if you like the first course, you can consider enrolling for the second one. Otherwise, you don't need to do that. Next, videos can be either PowerPoint based, such as this one you are watching right now, or it could also be pen and paper based. Now, what will decide what kind of videos we will make? It depends on the concept at hand and what we feel the candidates will learn better from. So for example, if there is a concept which we feel we can explain better using pen and paper, we will use that. Or if there's a concept which we feel is better from the PowerPoint point of view, we will use PowerPoint. For example, in the statistics and econometrics course, for the statistics portion, most of the videos are PowerPoint based. Okay. So next is that all videos will be recorded, pre-recorded, and there will be no live classes. Right? You can watch the videos any number of times as long as you use the same device. Okay. and the language that we will use will be English. I might use a bit of Hindi here and there, but primarily it will be English based videos. The next point is that there will be no individual doubt support. Now, why exactly? So the reason is time constraint at my end. Okay, so because I know that any doubt if you have, I may not be able to devote adequate time to addressing it. I am informing you beforehand that in this course we will not be able to provide you individual doubt support. Okay, now you might be thinking, what if I have a doubt? How will I address that? See, we will do our best to make videos in such a way which are easy to understand. Okay, at the same time, I must admit that if you are watching any new concept or any new video with a curious mind, there is a high probability that you will have at least one doubt. Okay, so how to go about in that direction? Now that doubt could be of one of the two types. One which is relevant for the exam. Second which is just a curiosity based doubt and may not be so relevant for the exam. But in any case, I will mention how I used to go about addressing my doubts when I was in my undergraduation days. So I would read my notes, and whenever I got a doubt, I would write it there with a pencil and I would move on. Now, most of the times when I used to come back to that doubt in the next reading, I used to find that that doubt has vanished at least 80 to 85% of the times. Now, on the remaining occasions, I used to either consult with my friends or I used to use internet to get answers for it, right? Okay, so the next point, we will not provide you with any typed notes. On the other hand, our target is that we should be able to be in a situation wherein after the end of this course, you have quality handwritten notes ready. So that is what we will work towards. So moving on. Now this is just about the test series, T structure, so that it's easier for you to plan stuff. Okay. Now, as we mentioned before, the candidates who had subscribed last year to the long-term test series will have two options this year. One, they can extend the validity of their previous test series till the next year's exam, or they can subscribe to the next year's test series. So just to make it clear, what will be the difference in the two? See, in the first option of extending the validity till the next year's exam, in that option, you get to retain whatever questions were there last time, whatever solutions were there last time as it is without any modification. On the other hand, in the test series for the next year, all those questions will be there, plus there will be whatever modification we make in the next year's test series. So what could be those modifications? First, we might add a few more resources in the solutions panel. Second, we will add a few more questions. And third, this is not final, but this is still we are contemplating, we might add a few tests. Now those tests will not be too long tests. See, the idea is that many a times when you are writing an exam, you have to think on the spot. So for example, you find a question, you know the basics, but you still have to find some way out of it. So that involves on the spot thinking. To address that kind of situation, we were thinking of having very short tests, like say 5 questions, 6 minutes, 5 questions, something of that sort. So that is still not final, we are working on it, but we will inform you in due course. Okay. Yeah, and just one more thing which I wanted to point out. Last year it happened on many occasions that we used to get requests to reinstate the launch offer discount at a later stage. Now last year the launch offer discount was valid only till the 5th of September, right? So there were candidates who had joined in October, November and even December who had paid the full fee without the discount, right? So when we got such requests later, we could not accommodate them because we knew that some candidates have already paid the full price, right? So at that time, to be able to reduce the price was something which our conscience did not allow for. Fine. So my only humble request to you is, please consider beforehand if you think you will be needing it and if you would like to enroll for it at this time, right? Any discounts that we announce will stay valid till the mentioned date, and if we want to extend it, we will do it beforehand. Okay, once the option expires, generally there will not be another discount of similar sort for that particular course. Okay, no festive discounts, nothing of that sort. Fine. So please take your decision accordingly. Now, this is about the coverage of topic for the first course. We will begin with basic statistics and then we will move to econometrics. In this course, there can be different types of students. For example, there may be someone who is a complete beginner. Say a person who has not studied statistics and econometrics in any great detail so far. Or there could also be a person who has moderate bit of knowledge but wants to stay enrolled in a course so that there is continuity of his or her preparation, or say because that candidate is targeting perfection next time. Right, so while preparing videos, we will prepare videos in a way that we assume that you do not know anything. We will begin with basics. Of course, there will be some requirement of previous mathematical concepts which we will inform you beforehand. Okay, so moving on. Now this is a very important slide. Please understand it well. You have to follow the right path if you want to reach the right destination. Right, so the first step, if you decide to enroll in the video course, see, this is not a movie, right? You can't just walk in and walk out later. If you are deciding to enroll in the video course, you will have to work hard for it, right? So the first step would be, you have to watch the video without any distraction. So ऐसा नहीं होना चाहिए कि एक डिवाइस पे वीडियो देख रहे हैं, दूसरे डिवाइस से बैठ के व्हाट्सएप कर रहे हैं, सामने टीवी चल रहा है. I mean, you're an adult and I don't have to tell you all this, but I still thought I should mention it. Ideally, sit in a room where there is no distraction, maybe in a library, maybe in a reading room, or maybe in your personal room. Keep the device at a distance, do not hold it in your hand. You should have your notebook and pen in your hand because you will be required to take notes. At times you will be required to pause the video, so you might have to extend your hand at that time and pause the video. But do not hold the device in your hand, keep it at some distance. Next step, you have to take notes. We will guide you in this, just follow the instructions, and I think by the end of the course you should be able to have good self-written notes in your hands. The third step will be to go back and read the textbook. This is a very important step for your confidence as well as for concepts. Understand that you are planning to work in the economics department, which is usually considered to be the think tank of one of the major economies of the world, right? So if you are not comfortable at reading the textbook, trust me, you are not prepared for the job, right? So you have to get into the habit of reading the textbooks at this stage. Next will be to exert some individual efforts. Now, what is that exactly? So suppose after you made notes, watched the video, read the textbook, you feel there is some concept which you want to understand better. So you decide to do some bit of research, individual search for it, or maybe you are discussing with friends. So this stage will involve that component, and please do all this before you watch the next video, because only then the next step of having supplementing notes, this will come handy. So once you watch the video and you prepared notes, then you read the textbook and you exert some individual efforts. If you find some incremental knowledge or some incremental information which you think you want to have with you, just jot it down in your notebook and it will come very handy when you go for the exams. And as a last step, please revise the notes of the previous class before you watch the next class. Now I'll tell you how we used to go about in an offline course. So I used to teach a subject some time ago in a offline mode. Okay, not for DEPR, for some other exam. Okay, so how we used to go about it? Before initiating the class, I used to ask questions from previous class, and if we got the impression that a candidate has not revised the notes of the previous class, we used to request the candidate to please exit the room at there itself, sit outside, revise the notes for say 15 minutes of the previous class, and then he or she can come back. Now we were very strict with it. Because this is an online class, we will not be able to implement that procedure. So it boils down to your discipline, self-discipline, right? So if you follow this approach, it will really help you. I repeat, watch the video, take notes, read the textbook, make some individual efforts for those topics discussed in the video, supplement your notes and revise them before the next class. You will really benefit from it if you can do it. Now, moving on. So please keep the other aspects going. You have to keep your phase 2 and interview preparation also going in your time. So phase 2 will involve 2 components extra apart from this. So that will be Indian economy and English descriptive. Let's discuss Indian economy first. Indian economy will have 2 components, static and current affairs. So as per recent trend, the weightage of static in DEPR phase 2 has been less, but nonetheless you have to prepare it. And this will also help you in your IAS exam. See, we do not know whether next year the same type of questions will be asked or there might be some modification of the pattern. Right, so if you want to prepare well, then you have to prepare both these. For static, you can just pick up maybe any book, say the Uma Kapila book or the Mishra and Puri book, and make short notes from it. Now, what are short notes and how is it different from detailed notes? In short notes, we generally write only that stuff which we need to remember. For example, those could be facts, those could be data points, and whatever other stuff that we want to write, we would write in a very limited amount of words. Because in the examination, say if you are writing 300 words or 350 words for an answer, you cannot write everything there. So we take notes only of the important stuff, and for the remaining part, we use our understanding to write there. Okay. So just understand that by the time you prepare the Indian economy part, you will have maybe 1 register or 2 register filled, right? So if you do not have short notes ready, you might begin to panic before the exam, because before the exam you have to revise everything, and revising such detailed notes will not be feasible. So for short notes, if you want, you can prepare it just before the exam. That is also an acceptable approach, but you have to prepare short notes. Okay, so the next thing is English descriptive. And this is the most ignored component of a candidate's preparation. See, even in this year's result, when you see it, we know at least 2 people who had appeared for SEBI Research phase 2, and then when they appeared for DEPR English descriptive, they have done very, very well. Okay, so any prior preparation will help you in this paper, and ignoring it can cost you dearly. Right, just understand it like this. If you manage to get an edge of even 10 marks in this paper, it is a very handy thing to have, right? So preparing it generally involves 3 steps. See, for different type of questions to expect in this exam, it could generally be reading comprehension and précis writing. Apart from that, there would be essays. Now, précis writing and reading comprehension, most of the candidates manage to handle it well. But for essay, many candidates feel that during that time they are not able to recall the required information. So if you want to go about preparing it from now onwards, and that is what is recommended, you should begin like this. Do a bit of Google search and search the important topics for RBI descriptive exam, English exam, and select 10 to 15 topics and prepare their fodder material from now onwards. Now, when you are preparing fodder material or notes for any topic, you should try to cover maximum aspects for it. For example, if you are preparing notes from inflation, now for that particular topic, you should begin by what is inflation, then how is inflation measured, what are the components of CPI, WPI, what are the weights attached to them, then why is CPI or WPI rising, the causes of inflation, that is. After that, what is government already doing to control inflation, then what else can be done, right? So most probably in the exam, the question will stress upon only one of these aspects, but we do not know which aspect that will be. So you have to prepare notes on all the aspects to be able to write good English on one of those aspects. So please do it right now, and it will really help you when you go in for the phase 2 exam. This fourth point we will just come to, and the fifth is you have to write. It is a typical situation in which the candidate keeps thinking, अरे नहीं थोड़ा बाद में आंसर राइटिंग स्टार्ट करेंगे, अभी प्रिपरेशन कर लेते हैं, and that बाद never comes. Most of us go into the exam without doing any answer writing practice, and it hurts, right? So this year only we were speaking to one of the good candidates, and she told that during the exam she overwrote the introduction part of one of the questions. So when she was writing the answer, she has to write in different components. So for the introduction part, she overwrote. Say when she lost 7 minutes or say 8 minutes, then she realized, and by that time she had begun to panic. And of course, she had not done much writing practice before that. So that's a bad strategy, right? So you have to begin writing practice, and if you are hesitant, just start with one answer per week. On every Sunday, sit down and write one answer. Now you might be thinking from where to start, from where to get the question. So work that out, but on each Sunday, sit down and write one answer. And within 3 to 4 weeks, within 3 to 4 Sundays, you would have worked out from where to pick the question, what type of question to book, etc. So just make it a habit. There should be no week in which you do not write anything. You have to write one answer every week. Okay, and this fifth point will help you at interview stage. This consists of 2 points. One is research methodology and second is statistical software. So having some bit of understanding of statistical software, especially Stata, will help you at the interview stage. For example, if the interviewer asks you, do you have understanding of any of the statistical software? Now if you say no versus another candidate says yes, for sure it will be a disadvantageous thing for you. Now you do not need to be an expert or say a certificate holder in any of the statistical softwares, but during the interview you should be able to confidently say that you possess the working knowledge of so and so software. Stata, I feel, is a must. If you know Python and Tableau, they are just add-ons and it will be useful, but Stata, in my opinion, is a must. Okay, for the topic of research methodology. Now, why is this important? See, this exam or this post is that of a research officer, and you should have a decent amount of understanding of research methodologies. Even this year, in the interview, people have been asked questions based on it. So what exactly do I mean by it? See, when you come across any report, for example, say you come across that IPCC has released a report saying that if there is so much 2% of global warming, 2 degrees Celsius of global warming, it will lead to so much damage. Now they've done some forecasting, right? So they would have followed some approach, some methodology. So you should have at least some understanding of it, because such questions can be asked in the interview, and these have been asked. And preparing them from now onwards, when you say read any report, this will help you. Similarly, RBI also releases many reports. If you can go through them and say make notes of it, only the important points, it will help you at interview stage. Even this year, candidates have been asked questions from that aspect. And the interviewer is just trying to see how serious the candidate is for this post. Because any serious candidate would take interest in the publications of the department and would bother to read them. Similarly, you have to be in the habit of reading the original stuff. Now, for example, all of you know that CPI data will be released on 12th of the month. But still you rely on either the newspaper article or the coaching stuff to read about it. This is a bad strategy, right? So even this year there were questions such as, one candidate was asked, when you open the RBI website, what do you see? Now they are not trying to understand anything else. They just want to know whether you even take the trouble of opening the website, or you just rely कि हर चीज coaching material में मिल जाएगी, right? So please, when you read something, try to read the original source. It will help you, right? Okay, so I think this is all we wanted to say in this video. You already know what we offer, and if you want to know more about it, you can just visit our website. If you have any query, you can drop a message, a Telegram message on our number. So let's meet in the statistics course. And one more thing which I want to tell you, see, this is okay, let me put it this way. This course will be our joint initiative. You would be having some expectations from us. At the same time, I also have some expectations from you. I will do my level best to meet your expectations, valid ones, and I expect you to work hard enough for this course, right? Like I've mentioned before, this is not a movie where you can just watch the video and just expect to remember everything. You have to make notes and you have to exert individual efforts. If you can do that, this course will really be beneficial for you. Okay, so yeah, please use a fresh notebook to make notes, and you will need some bit of prior knowledge. We can discuss this as we go along during this course also. Okay, so thank you for this video, and we see you in the statistics portion. Okay, all right, thank you.